Morning, everyone. I greet each and everyone, especially masters students in science education. I greet you. Welcome to class. Today is weekend, 24th of January 2026. So we are still on our lessons. We are still on our teaching. And the course code that we'll be looking at is for today is EML 427, Educational Management 427. So the course title is Educational Research and Statistics. Educational Research and Statistics. So I would like to open up the floor by saying that education cannot be effective in African nation, the world or globe at large without what we call research and statistics. And now research actually helps us to know the current state of education in our locality, in our region, in our district, in our states, in our nation at large, and the globe also. So you see, research is very pivotal, or is very necessary when it comes to what we call educational evaluation or measurement of the standard in education. So for that, we are going to be looking at Unit 1, which will talk about Introduction to Educational Research. Then the Unit 2, we are going to talk about research problems and hypothesis formulation. Research problems for you to actually bring an outcome or a conclusion on a specific survey being conducted on a specific practical. First and foremost, you also need a research problem, because when you have the research problem, you formulate your hypothesis. Then the Unit 3, we're gonna talk about research design and methodology. Now we're going to talk about the blueprint that actually guide what researchers on how to collect, analyze, and interpret data under this unit. That is Unit 3. We're going to be talking about this that actually grant us the design. We talk about how it grants us the design. We want to talk about how it grants us the design. Yes. So the next one, which is Unit 4, we are going to talk about data collection, how to gather data, data relevance to research making. As the Unit 4, Unit 5, we are going to talk about Introduction to Educational Statistics. Introduction to Educational Statistics. We're going to learn what is the meaning of educational statistics. In the 6th, we are going to discuss about descriptive statistics, how we can summarize and organize data to make it understandable. That is descriptive statistics. And in the 7th, we're going to talk about inferential statistics. That means we are going to allow researchers to make conclusions about the population based on sample data. Right? Unit 8, we're going to talk about correlation and regression analysis, as we can use correlation analysis to compare data and regression analysis to know the effect of the data on the to know the effects of the data. Alright, so Unit 9, we're going to talk about research, reporting, and ethics. I'm going to look at the definitions and the explanation and some key examples. Then the last unit, which is Unit 10, we're going to talk about application of research in education decision making. So, remember the unit 1, I said that we're going to look at introduction to educational research. Now, when we say introduction to educational research, we are actually referring to the systematic way, the systematic, organized, and scientific study of educational institutes. Issues. Can you see now? Educational research has to follow a scientific method, an organized method, in order to solve scientific educational issues. Now, in the explanation, I want you to understand that it involves careful observation. You must be very careful when it comes to observation, data collection, analysis, and interpretation. All this, when you are carrying out your educational research work, all these are very pivotal or very, very important. You must be careful when you observe, you collect your data, analyze, and interpret them. Now, it is a goal-oriented. That means actually, educational research is a goal-oriented that helps us to focus on improving our teaching methodology, learning, and policy. Can you see that? And research can be basic, that is theory building, or applied, that is practical problem solving. So research can be into um, what we call basic, that is theory building. You just build it based on theory, and also we have the practical problem solving, which you say is what applied research, which is what applied research. For example, let's say you investigate the effect of interactive teaching on student learning outcome. Now you can actually use that as um, as your research topic. You can actually use that as your research topic, just to investigate the effect of interactive teaching on student learning outcome. And you see now, study the relationship between school leadership and teachers' motivation. Evaluating the impact of e-learning on academic performance in secondary school. All these are what good research topics which you can actually engage on. So, in the unit 2, we are going to look at, I said, definition of a research problem. Right. Now, a research problem is a specific issue or gap in knowledge. A specific what? Issue or gap in knowledge that a study seek to address. Can you see now? It's a specific gap in knowledge that a study seeks to address. When there is a gap, when there is a kind of a, what we call it now, when there is a kind of a gap in it, like a specific issue in the knowledge that a study seek to what? Address. Now, explanation now in research program hypothesis formulation, it must be clear. Number 1, 2, focus. Number 3, and researchable. Anything that is not researchable is not a what? Is not an educational research. So, on the topic you are working on, it must be clear, focused, and researchable. And it should actually, that means should have significance to the educational field. Let's say, helping in determining the research objectives and methodology. Now you have been hearing the word hypothesis. What is hypothesis? Now, hypothesis is actually a testable prediction about the relationship between two or more variables. A what is a testable prediction about the relationship between two or more variables. So when you have variables, two or more variables, you can actually carry out hypothesis. Example, null hypothesis, which is denoted as HO. It shows that there is no significance relationship between teacher motivation and student performance. If you have to interpret it, that means when teachers are being motivated, it doesn't still show the outcome in the student performance, which we call it null hypothesis, denoted as HO. Now, alternative hypothesis, which is denoted as H1. Now, it shows that teacher motivation positively affect student performance. Can you see that? So in the alternative hypothesis, we call it you accept, while null hypothesis is reject, while alternative hypothesis is accept. So this is why you need to know about hypothesis formulation. So in our unit 3, remember I said we are going to talk about research design and methodology. Remember that I said that research design is a blueprint that actually guides researchers on how to collect, analyze, and interpret data. So research design is a plan, or you can call it a blueprint that actually guides the researcher on how to collect, analyze, and interpret data. So without, or you are carrying out your practicals, or you are carrying out your research work, one thing you must consider is what? Research plan. How you gonna achieve your research, how you gonna achieve your result is what we term as what? Research design and methodology. Is a sequential guide that help you to collect, analyze, and interpret data. Alright. So explanation in research design and methodology, one of the things that you must ensure validity. It must ensure validity. That means your research design and methodology. It must be reliable, right? That's reliability and feasibility as well. So you can now determine whether research is what is experimental, descriptive, or correlation. So example, let's say experimental design, experimental, so research. So let's say studying the effect of a new teaching method on test score. And you see, it's an experimental what? Research. When you are trying to experiment the new teaching on the impact of a student. This is where in Africa we are having issues and challenges. A lot of people these days they actually formulate hypotheses and tested the hypothesis to be truth, and they pass down this methodology to teachers around the globe, and people use them, but then there is no time that they sat down to evaluate whether the teaching methodology has impact on the student. And one of the way you can dictate that is through evaluation of the student, through giving them tests and examination, and you can rate whether the new teaching methodology actually has an impact or effect on the student's performance. Can you see it now? Yes. Can you see that? Yes. And then descriptive, that is experimental research. Then we have descriptive research. Example, survey of student attitude towards school discipline. That is descriptive. Survey of what? Students attitude towards school discipline. So this one is more of descriptive in nature. Then correlation, and that means examining the relationship between study habits and academic performance. Now you're trying to know the relationship between study habit, how the student study, their habit they use, and their performance. So is there a correlation on that or no? Okay. Then unit 4, we're going to talk about data collection techniques. So actually we know that data collection, it has to do with the process of gathering informations, right, that are relevant to the research problems. That is data collection. Explanation, it can actually be quantitative, which is numerical value, or qualitative, which is descriptive in nature. So qualitative has to do with numbers. That is why we say it's numerical. While qualitative has to do with what? Descriptive. Now, there is no data here. There is no data here. So data must be accurate, reliable, and valid. So wherever you are getting your data collection, make sure that the source is what? Reliable and accurate and valid, right? Then techniques and example which you can use as your data collection. During your data collection, we have questionnaires. That means you ask students feedback on teaching methods of the staff, right? Interviews, teachers' opinion on curriculum change, observation, recording, classroom interactions, patterns. So we're gonna talk about document analysis, and we'll stop here. Now, document analysis, it means reviewing school records or academic report. When you review school record or academic report, that is document analysis. Now, validity and reliability. Validity, you must ensure that the instrument measure what it intends to. Example, let's say in math test, measuring actual math skills. Can you see that is document analysis? The math test will actually help us to measure the math skills that are used for the students. Now, reliable, that is consistency of measurement over time. Does it stand the test of time? Example, same student taking the test twice gets similar result. They get similar results. That actually show that what the research, the methodology used in teaching the student is actually right. So we stop here. In our next class, we continue. Thank you so much for being part of today's class. If you find this video helpful to you, you can actually support the institution. You can actually support. You can sponsor. You can grant funds for student scholarship to sponsor some of the students. Some are not financially buoyant, so they actually need assistance in their journey of study. Alright, if you also want to support my YouTube channel, you can also do that by copying the account number in the description of this video below, and then can support the channel. Any amount we accept, right? So we don't look at money. Even though it's 5 naira in Nigeria currency, it's valuable. It's going to help the school to go a long way in building more structures, and then paying some of the underprivileged students that actually really want to learn, but finance is their constraint. Alright, thank you. Have a nice day. We meet in our next class where we'll take the other unit of this EML 4 to 7. Have a good day. Bye.